Welcome to A Year in the Bible with Daily Grace. The Bible tells one big story of redemption, and we want to spend 5 minutes every day journeying through the Bible from start to finish and exploring how all of it points to Jesus.
Hello, friends. Welcome to A Year in the Bible with Daily Grace. My name is Katie, and today we are beginning one of the most interesting books of the Bible, Ecclesiastes. We'll study chapters 1 through 3 together today. The author of Ecclesiastes is technically unknown, but most believe it's Solomon, King David's son. Ecclesiastes is a book of wisdom and poetry, tackling questions like, what is the meaning of life, and how do we find satisfaction? It's a book of weights and measures, as Solomon seems to explore mysteries of good and evil, wisdom and folly, pleasure and judgment. In chapter 1, we see Solomon refer to himself as the teacher. When I was a kid, my granddad would sit back in his recliner, pipe in hand, and tell us stories of his youth and lessons learned between puffs of smoke. This is exactly how I picture Solomon while reading Ecclesiastes. He seems to be reflecting on his life, sharing with us all that he's observed along the way. He dives right into a phrase that we will see repeated 39 times throughout Ecclesiastes. Absolute futility. Everything is futile. Other translations say vanity. This can be translated to meaningless or a vapor. The teacher paints a word picture for us, describing the things of this world as a vapor or smoke. We see what we desire before us, but just when we reach out to grab it, it has no substance for us to hold on to. Life is empty apart from God. Solomon continues his word picture for us in verses 4 through 12, describing the world as cyclical and repetitive. The sun rises and it sets. The streams continually flow to the seas. There's nothing new under the sun. He zeroes in on the experience of man. We are never satisfied. We will not be remembered after we die. Ugh, pretty encouraging, right? The tone of Ecclesiastes is set in the first 12 verses, reminding us that apart from God, nothing on this earth will ever hold value. Next, in chapter 2, Solomon continues to introduce himself to us. He is a prodigal son of sorts, wasting much of his life chasing wealth, influence, women, pleasure, success, knowledge. He gives us his resume of why he's qualified to share his wisdom with us. He's chased after everything we chase after. He's seen and done it all, and yet everything, knowledge, pleasure, work, it all leaves us feeling empty. So what then do we do with the life that God has given us? I don't know about you, but after reading chapters 1 and 2, I find myself begging for Solomon to clue us in. And he begins to in chapter 3. In the first 8 verses, Solomon brings us back to the cyclical nature of God's creation in a poem that reminds us of the human experience. It will be full of changing seasons. There's a time for birth, for death, to mourn, to dance, to keep, to throw away, and more. We are reminded again that the things of earth will be far from steady. And the teacher continues his words as an arrow, pointing us to God, reminding us that He alone is unchanging. He alone will last forever. He gives us a glimmer of hope. Solomon, in all his experiences, has discovered that there is nothing better for us to do than rejoice in God's presence and rest gratefully in the present moment, knowing that all good things are from God's hand. Our gospel connection this week is to see the incredible redemption that knowing Jesus brings to our life. Our lives are no longer meaningless. They're no longer just a vapor. We're no longer just striving after the wind. The cyclical, drab-sounding tone of Ecclesiastes leaves us longing for fullness of life found only in Jesus. In John 10, Jesus explains that He's here so that His sheep, us, may have life and have it abundantly. So as you're reading Ecclesiastes, be encouraged that this dull, monotonous life finds a vibrant color in living for Jesus. Yes, we still have hard seasons, and we may get distracted by the world, but we have hope, and we have a purpose to glorify God and enjoy Him and spread the hope that is His Son for all of our days. Sometimes I like to think of Solomon as an old wise grandfather, imparting his wisdom on us so that we won't make the same mistakes he did. He tells us that chasing after pleasures, or what feels good, is meaningless. Chasing after success is meaningless. Chasing after money is meaningless. Chasing after knowledge is meaningless. The harsh reality is that we will always be chasing something, either the things of this world or the things of heaven. Ecclesiastes calls us to learn from the teacher and turn from our idols. This week, let's refocus our vision and align our hearts with what gives us purpose, with what gives us hope, our Savior, Jesus Christ.